James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came forward to Jesus and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." And he said to them, "What is it you want me to do for you?" And they said to him, "Grant us to sit one at your right hand and one at your left in your glory." But Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you are asking. Are you able to drink the cup that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with?" They replied, "We are able." Then Jesus said to them, "The cup that I drink you will drink, and with the baptism with which I am baptized you will be baptized. But to sit at my right hand or at my left is not mine to grant, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they began to be angry with James and John. So Jesus called them and said to them, "You know that among the Gentiles, those whom they recognize as their rulers lord it over them, and their great ones are tyrants over them. But it is not so among you. But whoever wishes to become great among you must be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first among you must be slave of all. For the Son of Man came not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life a ransom for many."
What gets me about the story, Jenny, is that in Mark's version we get the unsanitized version.
Mm-hmm.
Matthew, do you remember, he has James and John's mother asking the question. And it's very obvious.
Jewish mother thing, Jewish
mother, blame mother.
Yeah.
But the whole thing is that this was a shocking story.
Yeah.
Because it puts James and John in a bad light. Here you've got 2 social climbers, and they ain't got the message.
Yes.
They haven't a jolly clue.
And actually Jesus has just put a little child in front of them and said, "You've got to be like this."
Yeah.
And yet they haven't got it, which I always actually find immensely encouraging that they haven't got it. Sometimes we can, think we'll never be saints, but we realise Jesus' disciples just often didn't get it. And they're quite blatant. I mean, they're quite out there, aren't they?
Well, Mark is always portraying the disciples as being rather thick.
Yes.
Well, they're slow to learn,
yeah.
and they're rather thick on the
But you can also see that they thought they were on a roll with Jesus. I mean, things are going well.
Yeah.
You can imagine I can imagine they could have got caught up in the excitement. But then Jesus really, we've got this drink, this cup. I mean, Jesus is starting to shift things, isn't he, really, as to where we're heading.
He's actually saying, now look, folk, this is what it's really about.
Yeah.
This is the heart of it. I actually find this, Jenny, an incredibly disconcerting passage.
Yeah.
It's one of these passages that's easy to read, but not so easy to implement, because I'm being faced with what I would suggest to you is the core of Christian life, servanthood. Nice word to rattle off my lips, but what, Jenny, does it mean for our lives?
Yeah, because we don't live in a world, I mean, we're in a very me-focused culture, and you're very quickly accused of just making yourself into a doormat. I mean, we're very much into our rights, our entitlement. I mean, we're not into serfs and slaves and things. In fact, anti-slavery, of course. But so what is Jesus getting at? Because they still don't get it. They say, "Oh yeah, we're able. We can do this stuff." So,
I think I've got to look at this passage and say, what does it mean for me when I leave this session here?
Yeah.
And it says to me, I look at you as my sister in Christ, and the question I have to constantly ask is, actually, what is in Jenny's best interest? Not what's in my best interest.
Yeah, and that really goes against the grain, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Actually, I mean, we really have to think about that, because I suppose our default position is to we think about ourselves. It's just the reality of, perhaps that's why we're often so self-conscious, because we're more thinking about ourselves than the other person. Yeah.
But what about this cup stuff?
Yeah. Yes.
Now let's making it even more uncomfortable for us, because what's the cup? Well, the cross.
Yes, it'll be suffering later on, so it's not all sort of wine and roses. And I suppose it's because Jesus is going to model this stuff that they'll actually, because I mean initially I do love the way that the 10 really don't get it, and I think it's only because they didn't have the they're jealous that they didn't have the idea of putting themselves up for the 2 top dog places, and now James and John have nicked in and got them, and
but he's also reversing the whole concept of Messiahhood.
Yeah.
The Messiah who is the servant king.
Yeah.
But the question I've got to ask, and anyone looking at this passage, Jenny, is to say, actually, what does it mean for me?
Yeah, and actually, what does it mean this week? You know,
Yeah.
and it is actually that concrete. Okay, how's this going to make a difference? As you say, they can be quite glib words. And even
Yeah.
in the church, we talk about servanthood and
Deacons,
Yeah.
diaconia, all that.
yeah, and
Let's not institutionalise it. I
Yeah.
somehow got to live it out. What does it mean for you, for me, to wait on table?
yeah,
Which
whether
is-
literally or just to put someone else's needs first.
Yeah.
Walk the talk, isn't it?
It's a pretty uncomfortable passage. It's like the one we looked at for last week.
Yep.
I don't want to read these passages too often.
But they're there for us, and they've put it out there, and it's for us to chew on and take away. Not a bad thing.
Yeah.